Mr. Beetle's Many Rooms by Robert Magnusson. Mr. Beetle wanted a house, so he went into the middle of a field and found one. It was a tiny plant with 5 branches. He quickly unpacked his things and made himself at home. Mr. Beetle then took a look at his house. His heart swelled with joy. As a finishing touch, he posted a sign in front of his house that read,
"This house of 5 rooms belongs to Mr. Beetle. No trespassing, please."
One morning, Mr. Beetle woke up to the sounds of music playing. When he searched for the source of the music, Mr. Beetle found a terrible surprise. A few new branches had sprouted from the top of his house. They were rooms that had not been there before. On top of one branch sat Cricket, playing a guitar.
"Get off my house!"
Mr. Beetle cried.
"There's no room for you here!"
"Please try to relax," Cricket sang. "Do listen to facts. 5 branches are yours, but the 6th one is mine. I'm only following what you wrote on your sign." Mr. Beetle knew that Cricket was right. There was nothing he could do. He wondered where these new branches came from. Why did he not see them before? That evening, he decided to wait on the topmost leaf to see if any rooms would appear. Mr. Beetle waited and waited until he soon fell asleep. Mr. Beetle woke up the next day to a strange buzzing sound. He was horrified to find that he was no longer on the topmost leaf. A new branch had sprouted right over him. To make matters worse, the buzzing sounds came from Bumblebee, who was busy moving in his furniture.
"Stay away from my house!"
Mr. Beetle cried.
"There's no room for you here!" "Your sign says 5 rooms, so the rest can't be yours."
Bumblebee made a fist.
"I decided to take these upper branch floors."
Mr. Beetle could do nothing. Now that the rainy season was here, more and more room seems to grow from the top of his house. When the sun came out, Mr. Beetle noticed that even the 5 branches of his house had grown thicker.
"How can I stop this house from growing?"
he cried.
"Come rain or shine, it keeps growing."
Within a few months, the house grew in a small tree. All sorts of animals came to live above Mr. Beetle's rooms. A firefly came and so did a spider. 2 caterpillars, 1 praying mantis, a ladybug, and a fly. The time came when one could barely notice Mr. Beetle's 5 rooms. One evening, Mr. Beetle sighed.
"I don't think this house is the right one for me."
He reluctantly packed his book, his fork, his toy, and his watering can. He carried his pillow and he folded his bed. He stood in his empty bedroom and gave it one final look.
"I will miss you, dear plant,"
he said. But before Mr. Beetle could properly leave, all his neighbors left out of the field. They carried balloons and plates full of cake.
Surprise!
They all cheered.
"Mr. Beetle, hooray!
You founded our home a year ago from today!" Mr. Beetle could not believe it. His neighbors picked him up and flew him to the roof of the tree where the most dazzling party has been prepared. Bumblebee made all the yummy dishes. He turned out to be a magnificent chef. Cricket played his guitar all through the night. "You've been a kind neighbor to let us all stay," he sang. "We hope you're not serious about going away." They then asked Mr. Beetle to give them a speech.
There's just one thing to make our evening complete,
He said. Everyone watched as Mr. Beetle took out his watering can and began to water the roots of their small tree.
The one you should thank is this wonderful tree.
Mr. Beetle said,
It made rooms for us all, and not just for me.
So at the end of the day before going to sleep, each one of them hugged their wonderful tree.
Good night.
Good night!
Good night.
Good night!
Good night.
Good night! Good night!
Good night.